clearly this response from the university indicates that there was no perjury. It did not reveal um, facts that would support perjury allegation.
Mm.
It rather confirmed the claim of studentship and genuineness of the document submitted. The certificate or degree claimed by the candidate who submitted it.
Okay, but there is the issue of date of birth, which also I think has been trashed, because he said, "I am not aware of the fact that in the form he submitted to INEC he claimed a different nationality or date of birth. Our records show that he was born on March 29. One has 1954, while the other shows 1952. From time to time, people do make mistakes when making such entries." So I'm guessing the school is saying it was a typographical error or a mistake, but that also is there, the date of birth. There is also the talk about the secondary school he attended, because part of the document release showed a Lagos government secondary school, something like that. But what we are hearing is that, or what we now see is that the school was not even operational at the time Tinubu said he attended the school. Yeah. So what is your take on that? Yes, there is no perjury, but all of these discrepancies, can it be used against him to say that he forged or he lied about something? I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, it's been quite interesting. I believe that in a suit for of degree issued by the university, a suit contesting validity of the degree issued by the university, and seeking to have the university withdraw that degree. This will be relevant issues. But I'm afraid that if the issue is whether or not the claimant actually earned the degree that he submitted as his qualification, I think these remote issues may not be relevant to the determination of that one. Because the primary
information,
there are two things generally with which we determine validity and invalidity, which is whether the institution issued it or whether it was issued to another person and not the person claiming to be the owner. So I think that will rest on confirmation from the institution with respect to who issued and the person to whom it is issued. On this other issue of dates, I don't know what the court can possibly make of it, but claim of date does not appear to me to be as relevant as issuance of qualifying certificates that are not correct, or qualifying certificates that do not exist or that are false. So that will be for the court to resolve whether discrepancy in dates contained. And this time you're talking of dates contained in documents issued to a foreign university in a different country.
Yeah.
And documents used here. I wonder whether the Supreme Court will dabble into what transferred in another country and what they made of it there and all that and what is submitted here. So I think the court will have to resolve that issue of discrepancy between a remote document showing a different date claimed as date of birth and the one claimed for purposes of the election as date of birth. That sounds a little remote to me, in my opinion. A little remote to the issue of qualification of candidates for contesting presidential election.
But okay, we have a commercial break coming up in a few seconds, but I want you to hold the answer to this question. Can that be seen as perjury, lying about your date of birth? When we come back, we'll continue. State University. I'm talking about Richard Wokocha, and we are looking at the issue that has trended for a long time now, and it has to do with the number one person in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we're looking at the possibility of his removal from office due to conversations around perjury, around submitting forged documents and all the likes. And so we're looking at all of that. And before the break, we were looking at the deposition by the Chicago State University and some of the issues that have been raised, like his gender, whether he attended the school, have now been talked about by the or would I say there is now clarity from the school, the Chicago State University. However, there are still issues about his secondary school submitted to the university. There's also to talk about his date of birth discrepancy. So I've been talking to the lawyer, and he says the date of birth might be too minor an issue to remove him from office. Also talked about the certificate submitted to a school in a foreign land might not play a major role in Nigeria. But however, the question is, if there's a discrepancy in the date of birth in the certificate is submitted to INEC and then the date of birth is submitted to INEC, should that not be seen as, is that an error, or is that a lie under oath? Is that perjury? That's what I'm asking, and I'm wondering if Barrister Wokocha, you can help me with that.
Yes, I'm here.
So let's hear you. Date of birth,
Yes.
Discrepancy.
Yes.
Is it perjury? Is it a lie? Is it lying under oath? Can you give us explanations, please?
Yeah, perjury is a statement, false statement made under oath, intended therefore to give a false impression, a wrong impression, other than the true impression of a matter. So, if the man claimed to have been born in 1952, 40 years ago, a little more than 40 years ago, and claims something different now. If he was actually born in 1952 and he claims now that he is born in 1954, and evidence is provided showing that he was actually born in 1952, then the statement he made now would have become a false statement. Yeah, that would have become a false statement.
So until there is evidence, we can't say it is false.
What bothers me is, Kaladakuru, do you know when the man was born? Was he born in 54 or 52? The one that is the truth before the other will become falsehood.
Okay.
So if the date claimed in 1952 is established to be the actual date of birth, then a wrong claim now made under oath will be a false statement made under oath. But if we cannot establish that he was actually born in 1952, he claims to have been born in 1954, then you may need explanation for why there was a difference in the past. And that takes us back to an issue I mentioned on Monday. Given the provision of Section 308 of the Constitution, can the President be asked to explain now? Because that is an issue happening now, and that explanation will be required now. Can the court ask the President to answer to civil or criminal questions now why he is testing protection under Section 308 of the Constitution from answering to any of those things? That will become a different question. So that's why I said the issue of date will stand, issue of date of birth will stand a little more remote too, because you need to establish what the true date is, and then to prove that what is said under oath with respect to this election is a false statement made under oath.
Okay, now
if you can establish that, yes, then that will fly as a false statement made under oath. But remember, it's false statement, meaning that you must prove the one that is true.
Okay. Now let's push a little bit further now to the secondary school document submitted to the school. Now, without that secondary school document, he would. I don't think he would have been able to apply to the Southwest College and then eventually to the Chicago State University. So that means, although he may have attended, how he attended or how he attempted to attend in the first place was fraught with irregularities, right? So now the next question is, can that be used legally to say, okay, yes, you may have gone to the school, but how you entered the school was fraught with irregularities? What's your take on that?
If at the moment, under the laws of the United States of America, his degree is valid, and such action under the degree is viable in the sense that if it is established before the authority that issued the certificate and they withdraw the certificate, his claim to the certificate would have become a claim based on nothing. In other words, qualification would have become dead. But the problem with viable documents is that it remains valid until it is rendered by the authoritative declaration that makes it void. So, as I said earlier, some of these things look like good points that can be used in a case in which the claim is that the certificate should be declared void or should be withdrawn. I think they are a little bit too remote to a claim in another country where the or end certificate claim to happen, which this investigation and this document standard have confirmed that he ended. Both admission, class performance, yes, and showing performance and I think a performance that is the one in document Nigeria interrogate and use to declare his certificate, which his university still says is valid, and which the country under which he studies still says is valid. I think they may be a bit too remote for the court in another country to use in declaring his degree invalid.
Now, I don't know.
Court in the US, but a court in another country, why the country of origin of the document says the document is valid, I doubt that a court in another country can go to those remote issues of what primary school, what secondary school, how did he enter the university. I doubt that country, a court in a different country can use that to invalidate the document, which, despite what it says, remains valid in the country of origin and in the university of issue.
Okay. We don't have much time, so I'm going to deviate a little bit quickly. So if you've been following up what has been happening on social media concerning this conversation, there's been a lot of propaganda. There's been a lot of back and forth concerning this very issue. There should be a law.
And this and that, but not to get too soon. The recent one, they have been out after that. The case of what is her name, Deborah?
Yeah,
Deborah. Beaten to death and burnt alive and all that. Nobody asked what did she do. Nobody conducted any trial. That life was lost. That's the thing. There are other people who have been born similar okay, scream of Allah Akbar. He said something that blasphemy. Nobody proves and do it. So we live in a country that is that intemperate. Because even life, the most important thing in the environment, can be put to risk. I doubt that it will be all right to say anybody can do anything, including things that will cause serious insurrection of crisis, ethnic crisis, clashes of communities and ethnicities, and killing of several people. I doubt that it will be reasonable to suppose that it should be unregulated. I am afraid that with our experience, it's becoming obvious and clear that some level of regulation needs to be done.
All right.
I have tried to steer clear of politics, but you will recall that throughout the campaign, everything you saw on social media that the current president was saying, he appeared to be unable to say something without stuttering, without mixing his words, without... Have you noticed any such thing since he was sworn in?
No.
None. So I think there is clear need for some level of regulation, especially when the outcome of the effect of such unrestrained expression
Now,
can be.
quickly, because we're out of time. So I want to quickly throw this question to you.
Yes.
Now that you have said this, remember you and I talked about it on Monday about possible harm to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria if his documents are released. Now that the documents have been released, what are some of
Yes.
these possible harms that you see, as mentioned by the president's lawyer?
Nothing really. On Monday, I told you that it was just a regular statement for an opposition lawyer to make in a case in which the safety of the person is required before an order can be made. It's a normal thing that is an opposition lawyer will say, no, it's not in our interest, no, it will cause us harm. I told you that I didn't make anything serious of that statement because I see it as a natural response that an opposition lawyer will raise in an application for release of private documents. So I don't think it meant that there were harms on the way.
Could it be he was hiding?
They were just trying to convince us.
Could it be he was hiding the Lagos State's government certificate and date of birth issues? Could it be what he was hiding?
I doubt, because it's not for you to hide or not hide things that are already in public domain. The document is already in a public institution and the court has the power to make an order. So I think they were just trying to persuade the court not to grant the prayer because contrary to what the applicant said, that it will harm them.
All right then. All right. This is this is how far we can go. There is a commercial coming up yet again. I'll have to let you go. But thank you very much for your time, Mr. Wokocha, Professor of Law at Rivers University.
So, thanks for having me.
All right. Do stay tuned to 92.3 Nigeria Info. I've got to go. I'll be right back for open season.